I was a corporate lawyer. Now I beg for change outside the courthouse I once worked in. My name is Margaret. 6 months ago, I billed 300 hours a month and wore a coat that cost more than most people's rent. Today, I sleep in doorways and count pills like prayers. You think it's one big crash? No. It was a car accident, then back surgery, then a prescription that felt like mercy. The pills made me sharp. Then they made me normal. Then they made me desperate. I defended pharmaceutical companies in that courthouse, the same companies whose product was eating me alive. I told myself I was managing it. I told my sister I was staying with friends. I told the security guard nothing when he pretended not to see me sleeping outside. The shame got heavier than the withdrawal. I traded my grandmother's pearls for 10 pills and a broken laptop. I missed deadlines. I lost clients. I lost my license. Let me take you back to the night the hotel locked me out, when I still thought I could fix this alone. In the morning, I finally admitted I couldn't. When you've fallen from the 40th floor to the basement, who recognizes you first? The people who knew you at the top, or the ones who've been at the bottom all along? The night manager at the Extended Stay America had kind eyes, which made it worse. Kevin, that was his name, Kevin with the Buckeyes lanyard, stood behind the desk at 9 p.m. holding my credit card like it might bite him. I'm sorry, Ms. Chun. It declined. I ran it 3 times. The lobby smelled like microwave popcorn and industrial carpet cleaner. Behind Kevin, a family was checking in, kids bouncing on their toes, excited about the pool. I kept my voice low, professional, the same tone I'd used in depositions. There must be a mistake. Can you try again? He did. The machine made that particular beep that means no. Not today. Not for you. Do you have another card? I had 3. All maxed. I knew this, but I handed them over anyway, watching Kevin's face get more uncomfortable with each swipe. The family behind me had gone quiet. The father pulled his kids closer. Maybe I can call the bank, I said. There's probably a hold or something. Kevin nodded toward the lobby phone. Take your time. The automated system at PNC knew me better than I knew myself. Negative $437. I pressed 1 to hear it again, as if the robot might change its mind. This morning I'd had $600 in that account. But this morning I'd also filled a prescription at the CVS on Morse Road, paying cash because my insurance kept records, and insurance records could surface during ethics reviews. $160 for 30 pills. Plus the $300 I'd given Rico last week for the pills that were already gone. The math was simple. The math was always simple. It was my ability to do it that kept failing. I walked back to the desk. Kevin had my room key in his hand, the one I'd been using for 2 months, since the foreclosure went through on my condo in German Village. I can hold your bags in the back office, he said quietly. You can pick them up tomorrow when you get this sorted out. Tomorrow. As if tomorrow I'd magically have $400. That's okay. I'll take them. He looked at my 2 suitcases, the laptop bag I hadn't opened in weeks, the purse that used to hold business cards reading Margaret Chun, Senior Associate, Morrison and Associates. Now it held 3 pills, $17 cash, and a phone charger for outlets I couldn't access. Ms. Chun, I really can. I'll take them. The automatic doors opened to November air that bit through my Burberry coat. The coat had cost $2,000 3 years ago, a celebration purchase after winning the Hartman case. Now it was the most expensive thing I owned, and I couldn't sell it because I needed it to not freeze. My phone showed 12% battery. Sarah would call soon. We talked every Thursday night. Her in Seattle with her environmental consulting job and her hiking boots. Me in Columbus with my lies getting heavier each week. I typed quickly. Weird hotel mix-up, crashing with a friend tonight. Talk tomorrow. She replied immediately. Everything okay? All good. Just hotel computer glitch. Love you. I turned the phone off to save power and started walking. My feet knew where to go. 7 blocks down High Street. Past the Starbucks where I used to meet clients. Past the Marshalls where I'd bought court shoes on lunch breaks. Past the parking garage where my Lexus used to live before the repo man found it. The Franklin County Courthouse stood lit up against the dark, all limestone and importance. The employee entrance on the south side had an alcove, protected from wind and deep enough that you couldn't be seen from the street. I'd smoked cigarettes there during my first year, back when I thought stress was my biggest problem. Now I set down my suitcases and tried to make sense of the geometry. How do you fold a body into a corner? How do you become small enough to disappear? I wrapped the coat tighter and sat on the smaller suitcase, the one with my court suits that I'd probably never wear again. Somewhere above me, in the offices I used to know by heart, cleaning crews were emptying the trash cans of lawyers who still had keys, still had codes, still had names that meant something. A flashlight beam swept across the limestone. My stomach clenched. Dennis Washington's flashlight found me at 2 a.m. I knew it was him before I saw his face. The way he hummed under his breath, some old Motown tune I couldn't place. 3 years of late nights at Morrison and Associates, and Dennis had been doing his rounds for all of them. The humming stopped. The light held steady on my face for 3 seconds. 4. 5 that I couldn't move. Couldn't turn away. My body had locked up like it used to during oral arguments. Except instead of fighting for a client, I was fighting to disappear into stone. Dennis lowered the flashlight. In the bounce of light off the concrete, I could see his face. He was looking right at me. Not through me, not past me. At me. Cold night. He said finally. I nodded. My throat had closed up. He clicked the flashlight off. Gets warmer closer to the building. Wind can't reach you as much. Then he walked away, his footsteps steady, the humming starting up again as he turned the corner. I sat there shaking. Not from cold. From being seen. From being allowed to stay. 3 years ago, Dennis used to bring me coffee when I worked past midnight. You trying to make partner or trying to kill yourself? He'd joke. I'd laugh and say both. And we'd talk about his daughter at Ohio State, my cases, the Cavaliers' chances that season. Now I was furniture. No, I was less than furniture. I was something he could pretend not to see. I scooted closer to the building like he'd suggested. The limestone still held a little warmth from the day. I pulled my knees to my chest and tried to remember how I'd gotten here. Not here at the courthouse. Here in this life, 18 months ago. That's when it started. A client meeting in Cincinnati, driving back in the rain. Some kid in a Honda running a red light. My back had twisted wrong when the airbag deployed. The emergency room doctor said I was lucky, soft tissue damage, nothing broken. He wrote a prescription for Percocet. Take these for a week, then switch to ibuprofen. But ibuprofen didn't make the depositions bearable. Ibuprofen didn't let me bill 12-hour days. Ibuprofen didn't make me feel like I was floating above the pain, above the pressure, above everything. My doctor understood. Back injuries are tricky, she said, writing another prescription. Let's try OxyContin. It's extended release, more consistent pain management. Consistent. That was the right word. Consistently needing more. Consistently finding new doctors when the first one got nervous. Consistently lying about why I needed early refills. Why last December, I was taking 8 pills a day and billing more hours than anyone else in my department. I won the Hartman case, a pharmaceutical company accused of downplaying addiction risks. I stood in court defending them, high on their product, arguing that personal responsibility mattered more than corporate disclosure. The irony was so perfect it felt scripted. January was when the scripts started getting harder to fill. Pharmacists asking questions. Insurance flagging patterns. So I found Rico through a paralegal who knew someone who knew someone. Cash only. No questions. No limits except what you could afford. And I could afford a lot. Until I couldn't. The foreclosure notice came in July. I'd missed 3 mortgage payments. The money going to Rico instead of Wells Fargo. I told myself I'd catch up after the quarter's bonuses. But the partners had noticed my work slipping. Missed deadlines. Sloppy research. They offered me a leave of absence that wasn't really optional. No salary meant no pills. No pills meant withdrawal. Withdrawal meant I couldn't function enough to get my job back. The spiral was so logical it could have been a flowchart. I'd sold everything sellable. The car. The furniture. The good jewelry, except for my grandmother's pearls hidden in the lining of my purse, my last emergency fund. I'd moved into the extended stay with 2 suitcases and a plan to get clean, get back to work, get my life back. That was 2 months ago. 62 days of telling myself tomorrow would be different. 62 days of the hotel rate eating what money I could scrape together from freelance work. 62 days of needing pills just to feel normal enough to leave the room. I had 3 pills left. 3 blue lifelines, 30 milligrams each. If I was careful, if I split them, if I only took them when the withdrawal got unbearable, they might last 2 days. Maybe 3. Then what? Dawn would come at 6:23 a.m. I knew because I'd Googled it on the library computer yesterday, planning when I'd need to leave the courthouse before the early workers arrived. Before anyone else who might recognize me, I closed my eyes and tried to sleep against the limestone. Somewhere above me, Dennis continued his rounds, humming about love and heartbreak and better days. The Starbucks on High Street opened at 5:30 a.m. I knew because I'd been standing outside since 5:15, my breath fogging the glass door. Watching Tyler count the register inside, he saw me, waved, mouthed 5 minutes, and went back to his opening routine. 5 minutes to stand there with my suitcases, looking like exactly what I was. The street was mostly empty. A jogger, a delivery truck, a woman walking a nervous greyhound. None of them looked at me. In Columbus, you learn not to look at people with suitcases standing outside businesses before dawn. Tyler unlocked the door at 5:29. "Hey, Ms. Chun. Early morning. Couldn't sleep," I said. True enough that he was 22, maybe 23. Business major at Columbus State. I remembered from our chats back when I was a person who chatted. Back when I ordered Vinny red eyes with an extra shot and tipped $5. "The usual?" he asked. "Just a small coffee today." Coming up, $2.15. That left me with $14.85. I watched Tyler work the machine, noticed him punch in his employee discount without asking. The total dropped to $190. "Bathroom?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Oh yeah, they added a code last month. Some issues with." He trailed off, not wanting to say people like you. He wrote the numbers on my receipt. There you go. The bathroom mirror was unforgiving. Fluorescent lights showed everything. The hollowed-out cheeks, the greasy hair, the same in Taylor's suit I'd worn for 4 days straight. My court suit, navy blue, the one I'd worn for the Hartman closing. Now it smelled like night air and fierce sweat that I used paper towels and hand soap to clean what I could. Wet my hair and pulled it back tight. Found my concealer in my purse and covered the worst of the dark circles. Drew on lipstick with a steady hand. The same shade I'd worn to partnership meetings. The woman in the mirror looked like a rough draft of Margaret. Chun, like someone had tried to draw her from memory and gotten the details wrong. Back in the coffee shop, Tyler had my cup ready. And a white paper bag. "Cranberry orange scone," he said. "They expired yesterday, but they're still good. We just have to toss them for liability reasons." The kindness made my throat tight. "Thanks. No problem." He was already looking past me to the next customer, a man in scrubs ordering 4 complicated drinks that I found a corner table and opened my phone. 8% battery. Sarah had texted twice. "You sure you're okay? That friend better have good coffee. Call me when you wake up. Have news about the promotion." The promotion. Sarah's normal life with normal problems and normal victories. I typed back. "So proud of you. Can't wait to hear everything. Phone dying, but we'll call later." Then I turned it off. The library opened at 9. 3.5 hours to fill. I sipped the coffee slowly, making it last, and opened my laptop bag for the first time in 2 weeks. The laptop was there, but dead. The charger in my suitcase, but useless without an outlet I could use for more than 5 minutes. I still had my legal pad, though. My good pen. I could outline the brief Jim Palmer had mentioned last week, the intellectual property case. $500 for a motion to dismiss. With $500, I could get a room at the Budget Inn on Morse Road, the one that charged weekly. I could buy enough pills to taper properly. I could get clean. I started writing, muscle memory taking over. The legal arguments flowed like they always had, clear and logical. For 20 minutes, I was a lawyer again. Then my hand started shaking. Not withdrawal, not yet. That would come in about 6 hours. This was just need. Want. The physical memory of relief that I reached into my purse and touched the 3 pills in their baggie, counting them like rosary beads. 3 pills, 90 milligrams. I could take half of one now, just to steady my hands. Just to think clearly. No, not yet. Save them for when the real sickness came. A woman sat down at the next table with her laptop and a Vinny something covered in whipped cream. She plugged into the outlet next to her seat. I watched the cord like it was water in the desert. "Excuse me," I said. "Would you mind if I charged my phone for just a minute? It's completely dead, and I'm expecting an important call." She looked at my suit, my coffee, my legal pad. Lawyers were safe. Lawyers were people you could trust. "Of course," she said. "No problem." I plugged in and watched the battery icon appear. 1%, 2%. At 5%, the woman started looking uncomfortable. I unplugged and thanked her. 0.5% would have to be enough. The library was my next stop. They had computers. They had bathrooms without codes. They had Brenda at the reference desk, who'd started recognizing me 2 weeks ago and had stopped asking if I needed help finding anything. But first, I had to do something with my suitcases. I couldn't walk into the library looking like I was moving in. There was a FedEx office 2 blocks down. They had lockers you could rent by the hour. $3 for 4 hours. That left me with $11.85 that I kept my purse and my legal pad. Left everything else locked away. Walked to the library looking almost like someone with somewhere to go. It was 8:47 a.m. 13 minutes until the doors opened. 13 minutes to stand outside with the other people who needed what the library had. Computers, bathrooms, shelter, the pretense of purpose. I touched the pills in my purse again. Still 3. Still enough. If I was careful. If I could just get through today. If I could just write this brief. If I could just make it to tomorrow. The same promises I'd been making for 62 days. Except now I was making them standing outside the library at 8:48 in the morning. My entire life locked in a FedEx locker. My body starting to whisper its demands. The security guard inside started walking toward the doors with his keys. 8:59. Close. Enough. Computer number 7 at the Columbus Metropolitan Library faced the wall. Perfect. I logged into my email while the man at computer 6 watched YouTube videos of street fights and the woman at computer 8 filled out job applications. Jim Palmer had responded overnight. Margaret, I have an IP case that needs a motion to dismiss. Straightforward patent issue. Can you handle it? $500 on delivery, needed in 48 hours. $500. I typed back immediately. Absolutely. Send the files. The case documents came through. 20 pages of technical specifications about polymer manufacturing. My specialty, back when I had specialties instead of survival tactics. I started reading, taking notes on my legal pad. Then I hit the problem. The motion needed citations from cases I couldn't access without Westlaw. The library's free legal resources didn't include recent Federal Circuit decisions. I needed my laptop, needed professional research tools, needed things I'd pawned or lost access to when Morrison and Associates put me on leave that I could fake some of it. Use older cases, hope Jim wouldn't check too carefully. But that wasn't the real problem. The real problem was I couldn't write the motion here, on a public computer with a 1-hour time limit that required getting back in line. Craigslist had laptops. I searched quickly. Found one for $200. Seller would meet tonight. But I only had $11. My grandmother's pearls were in my purse lining. Worth $800 at least. Mom had given them to me when I graduated law school. For when you make partner, she'd said. Brenda from the reference desk appeared beside me. Can I help you find anything? She was holding a sandwich in a Ziploc bag. Turkey and Swiss on wheat. I brought 2 lunches today, she said quietly. Hate to waste food. The kindness made my eyes burn. I took the sandwich. Thank you. She nodded and walked away, pretending not to notice when I immediately unwrapped it and took a bite. Real food, not gas station cookies or expired pastries. My stomach cramped with gratitude. At 5:45, I'd meet the laptop seller. Make the trade. Write the brief. Save myself. That was the plan. The McDonald's parking lot on East Broad smelled like fryer oil and disappointment. I stood by the dumpster, waiting for Marcus, the laptop seller from Craigslist. He pulled up in a Honda Civic with tinted windows. When he got out, I recognized something in his walk, his eyes, the way he checked the parking lot. He was carrying, and not just laptops. You're the lawyer lady, he said. Not a question. My stomach dropped. Do we know each other? Rico's my cousin. He mentioned you. Marcus opened his trunk, showed me the laptop. It was old but functional. Thing is, laptop's $200. But Rico says you might be interested in other merchandise. 3 pills left in my purse. My hands were starting to shake. Not withdrawal yet, just anticipation. I stopped. Touched my purse where the pearls were hidden. Marcus saw the gesture. Knew what it meant. Everyone in this parking lot knew that gesture. The unconscious inventory of tradable things. What you got? I pulled out the pearls. They caught the parking lot light, lustrous and perfect. My mother's face flashed in my mind. Partner track. All those years of being the daughter who made it out of Akron. These are worth $800, I said. Marcus examined them. I'll give you the laptop plus 10 blues. 30s. 10 pills. That would last 5 days if I was careful. Long enough to write the brief, get paid, get clean. I told myself this lie perfectly, like I'd rehearsed it. Okay. The trade took 30 seconds. Marcus drove away with my grandmother's pearls. I stood holding a laptop and a baggie of pills that represented both solution and problem. I dry swallowed one immediately. The relief would come in 20 minutes. For now, just knowing it was coming was enough. Back at the courthouse alcove, I discovered the laptop battery held 30 minutes max. The charger was broken, wire exposed near the plug. My phone buzzed. Jim, client wants the brief by noon tomorrow. Can you manage? I looked at the dying laptop, the pills in my bag. The impossible distance between where I was and where I needed to be. Yes, I typed back, another lie. Perfectly told. By 10 p.m., the courthouse alcove had become a different place. Diane Kowalski was already there, arranging cardboard with practiced efficiency. You got Tuesday and Thursday, she said without looking up. I got Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Robert gets weekends, but he's usually too drunk to show. Don't sleep past 6 a.m. unless you want the cops. Don't leave anything you can't carry. Don't trust Tommy Chun. No relation to you. I assume. He'll rob you if he knows you're holding. She was 58, maybe 60. Gray hair pulled back tight. Layers of clothes that smelled like library and resignation. I'm not. I started to say I wasn't really homeless. Stopped. What else was I? You're new to the streets, but not to the drugs, Diane said, matter of fact. I can tell. You got that look, like you're counting constantly. What is it? Pills. I nodded. Figures. You professional types always go for pills. Cleaner, you think. Legal originally. Let me guess. Back pain? Surgery. Car accident. Mine was a hysterectomy. 12 years ago. OxyContin for 6 weeks, turned into heroin for 3 years, turned into this. She gestured at the alcove. Been clean 2 years though. Small victories. She taught me things. St. Joseph's served breakfast at 7 a.m., no sermon required. The YMCA on Leonard sold showers for $3. The library bathroom on the second floor was usually empty. Officer Martinez was mean. Officer Kelly would let you be if you kept moving. I tried to work on Jim's brief using my phone, typing notes with my thumb. The legal arguments were there in my head, clear and structured. But I couldn't format them, couldn't cite properly, couldn't create anything that looked like $500 worth of work. At midnight, the withdrawal started. Just whispers at first. Skin crawling. Stomach turning. I took another pill. 8 left. Diane watched. You're not ready to quit. I need to. After this brief. After I get paid. She laughed. Not mean, just knowing. Sure. After. At 4 a.m., she left a granola bar on my bag before walking away. Nature Valley, peanut butter. I saved it for when the shaking got bad. At 6 a.m., a police officer's baton tapped my shoulder. Move along. Officer Martinez. The mean one. Time to start another day of pretending. Jim's noon deadline felt like a wall rushing toward me. I sat in the library at computer 12, typing furiously, trying to construct a motion to dismiss from memory and obsolete. Case LAW.my phone showed 16 texts from Sarah. I turned it on too. Checked the time and now couldn't turn it off again without responding. Margaret, I'm worried. Please call. Are you okay? I'm calling hospitals if you don't respond. I typed back. Phone was dead. So sorry. I'm fine. In a meeting. Call you tonight. Then I turned it off completely. The brief was garbage. I knew it. Jim would know it. But maybe he'd pay anyway. Out of pity or professional courtesy. $500 of pity would spend the same as $500 earned. Brenda walked by, pretended not to notice me wearing the same suit as yesterday. The man at computer 11 was definitely masturbating under his coat. The woman at computer 13 was crying quietly while filling out bankruptcy forms. This was my peer group now that I'd taken another pill at 10 a.m. to keep my hands steady. 7 left. The math said I had 2 days, maybe 3. The math had never been wrong. My response to the math had been wrong, but the numbers themselves were perfect. At 11:45, I emailed the brief to Jim. It was 15 pages of legal-sounding words arranged in the right order. It cited cases. It made arguments. It was the kind of thing a lawyer might write if that lawyer was very sick or very drunk or watching their life collapse in real time. Jim responded at 11:58. Margaret, we need to talk. This isn't acceptable. Can you meet? My stomach dropped through the floor. Technical issues with research access. I typed. Can revise with proper resources. I'll be at the Starbucks on High Street at 2 p.m. Please come. Please come. Professional speak for, you're fucked, but I'm too polite to say it in writing. I looked at my reflection in the computer screen. Even in the black glass, I could see what Jim would see. The unwashed hair. The hollow eyes. The suit that had become a uniform of denial. 7 pills left. I could take one before the meeting. Just to seem normal. Just to get through it. 6 pills left. The meeting would determine everything. Jim Palmer sat at a corner table in Starbucks with 2 cups of coffee and an expression I recognized from partnership meetings where associates got fired. He looked good. Healthy. His suit fit properly. His wedding ring was gone. The divorce Patricia mentioned must have gone through. He stood when I approached, lawyer manners intact even for this. Margaret, thanks for coming. I sat. The coffee he'd bought me was a Vinny Red Eye, extra shot. My old order. The gesture made me want to cry. The brief, he started, then stopped. Looked at me. Really looked. Jesus, Margaret. What happened to you? I've had some challenges. Challenges. He opened his laptop, showed me the brief. Even on his screen, I could see the problems. Wrong citations. Rambling arguments. A paragraph that repeated twice. This is not challenges. This is, Margaret, are you using? The directness knocked me sideways. Jim had always been direct. It's why we'd worked well together. I had a medical issue. Back surgery. The recovery has been difficult. How long? 18 months. He closed the laptop. I can't pay for this. You know I can't. It's malpractice waiting to happen. I can revise it. I just need access to proper research tools. You need rehab. The words sat between us like evidence. I talked to Davidson. Jim continued. He says you haven't been to the office in 4 months. They're moving toward formal termination. Your ethics review is next month. Margaret, you're going to lose your license. Each sentence was another door closing. I could hear them slamming shut, echoing. I just need a little time to get stable. Jim pulled out his wallet, counted out 5 20s, put them on the table between us. This isn't payment. This is, I don't know what this is, but you need help. Real help, not freelance work. The $100 looked enormous. 3 pills, maybe 4 if prices had dropped. Or 2 nights in a motel. Or food for a week. The math spread out in all directions. There's a place in Dayton, Jim said. State-funded. They take Medicaid. I know because my brother went there. Saved his life. I don't have Medicaid. You will after your bankruptcy. I looked up sharp. He knew. Of course he knew. The legal community in Columbus was small. Everyone knew everything eventually. Patricia Hoffman walked into the Starbucks then, saw us. And her face went through 3 expressions in 1 second. Recognition. Pity. Retreat. I should go, I said. Margaret, please, get help. I took the $100. Shame had become a luxury I couldn't afford. Outside, Patricia was waiting. Ms. Chun? Margaret? I thought that was you. The Ms. Chun did it. The formality. The distance. I'd trained her 2 summers ago. Now she was looking at me like I was contagious. Hello, Patricia. She opened her purse, pulled out a 20. I mean, please. I took that too. $120. Enough for 4 pills and a shower at the Y and maybe breakfast tomorrow. The math was perfect and terrible. Patricia actually ran away. Literally ran. Her heels clicked faster and faster until she turned the corner. 6 pills left. Plus whatever the 120 would buy. I walked toward Rico's corner. Already knowing I wouldn't make it to any rehab in Dayton. Rico's corner was empty. But Marcus was there, leaning against the same Honda Civic from yesterday. Lawyer lady, heard you might be shopping. $120. I held it tight in my pocket. What's the rate? 30 each for blues. But for you, since you're a regular now, 4 for 100. The 20 from Patricia would be left over. Food money, shower money, phone charge money. The kind of math that would have seemed insane a year ago. Okay, the pills went into my purse with the others. 10 pills total. I took one immediately, dry swallowed it in front of Marcus because I didn't care anymore about appearances. You know, Marcus said, Rico's looking for someone who can write legal-looking documents. Nothing real, just things that look official. $50 per page. Even in my spiral, that felt like a line. No, think about it. I walked back to the courthouse alcove. It was 4 p.m. Too early to settle in for the night, but I had nowhere else to go. The library closed at 6 on Wednesdays. The Starbucks would be full of people I might know. I sat on the courthouse steps instead, watching lawyers come in and out. Some of them looked at me. Most didn't. I'd become invisible, which was both a relief and a terror. My phone had been off since the library. I turned it on to find 43 missed calls from Sarah. Then it rang immediately. Jesus Christ, Margaret, where are you? I'm fine. I'm sorry. Phone issues. No. Stop. I know you're lying. Patricia Hoffman called me. The betrayal felt physical. Patricia had found Sarah somehow. LinkedIn probably. Facebook. The ways people stay connected when they have normal lives. She's concerned about you. She says you're struggling. I'm managing some challenges. Are you homeless? The question hung there. I could lie. I'd been lying for months. But I was so tired. It's temporary. Sarah made a sound like she'd been punched. I'm booking a flight. I'll be there tomorrow. Don't. I'm coming. Sarah, please. I'm handling it. Like you handled the foreclosure? Like you handled losing your job? She knew. She'd known all along probably. Sisters always know. I'll be there at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Where should I meet you? I thought about being seen at the airport. Being claimed. Being saved. It was terrifying. The courthouse. South in trance. Margaret, we're going to fix this. After she hung up, I sat with the phone in my hand. 9 pills left. Sarah would be here in 17 hours. I could make it 17 hours. Then the withdrawal hit. Real withdrawal. Not the whispers, but the screaming. My bones felt like they were splintering. My skin was too tight. My stomach twisted into knots that had knots. I took another pill. 8 left. The math said I wouldn't make it to morning. Sarah stood at the courthouse entrance at 6 a.m., 3 hours early, wearing her practical REI jacket and the face of someone who'd been crying on a red-eye flight. That I saw her from the alcove where I'd been awake all night, shaking despite the 2 pills I'd taken at 3 a.m. 6 pills left. The math getting worse. Maggie, she said, using my childhood name. Oh, Maggie. She didn't hug me. She knew I couldn't bear being touched right now. Instead, she sat down on the cold concrete, right there in her clean jeans, and looked at me straight. Mom would be so angry at both of us. It was perfect. Not, Mom would be disappointed, or Mom would be sad. Angry. Because anger meant there was something to fight. Anger meant we were still worth being mad at. How did you know? I've known for months. The excuses. The missed calls. The money you kept borrowing for car repairs when Patricia said your car got repossessed in August. You talked to Patricia before yesterday. I talked to a lot of people. I'm your sister. It's what we do. She pulled out a folder. There's a place in Dayton. State funded. They have a bed today. Right now? We can drive there. I can't. Why? Because I had 6 pills left. Because withdrawal would hit in 4 hours. Because I'd have to be sick in front of her. And that was worse than being homeless. I need a few days. To get ready. Sarah looked at me. You're high right now. Not a question. I need to taper. If I stop cold, I could have seizures. This was a lie. Opioid withdrawal didn't cause seizures. But it sounded medical enough. Okay. Then we go to the ER. They can manage withdrawal. No, Margaret. No hospitals. Please. Just give me 1 day. Let me do this my way. Sarah studied my face. Calculating. Maybe. How many more times she'd have to save me. How many more red-eye flights. How many more concrete sitting sessions. 1 day, she said. But I'm staying with you. You can't stay here. I got a room at the Marriott. You're coming with me. A room. A bed. A shower. The relief was so intense I almost threw up. I smell, I said. I know. My clothes are in a locker at FedEx. We'll get them. I have 6 pills left. The admission hung between us. Sarah nodded. Okay. 6 pills. How long will that last? Maybe 24 hours if I'm careful. Then we have 24 hours to get you somewhere safe. She stood, offered me her hand. I took it. Let her pull me up. Let her save me, just for today. Tomorrow was rehabilitation. Tomorrow was Dayton. But first, I had to survive today with 6 pills and a sister who'd flown across the country to watch me try. The Marriott shower ran for 45 minutes. Sarah sat on the bed outside, probably listening to make sure I didn't collapse. The water went from gray to clear after about 20 minutes, but I kept standing there, letting heat sink into bones that had forgotten warmth existed. When I finally came out, Sarah had laid clean clothes on the bed. Not mine. She'd bought them at Target while I was showering. Sweatpants, t-shirt, underwear still in the package, socks that didn't smell like courthouse concrete. Your suit is in the trash, she said. That was a $300 suit. It was. Now it's garbage. I wanted to argue but couldn't. The pills were in my old purse, which Sarah had pointedly not thrown away. We both knew I'd panic without them. 5 left. I'd taken one before the shower when the shaking got bad. When did you last eat real food? Sarah asked. Yesterday. A sandwich. She ordered room service. Soup, bread, orange juice. Things a sick person could manage. When it arrived, she watched me eat like I was 10 again with the flu. Talk to me about the rehab, I said. It's called Stepping Stones. State-funded. 28-day program. They use Suboxone for withdrawal management. Suboxone. I knew about it. Partial opioid that stopped withdrawal without getting you high. Some people called it trading one addiction for another. Those people had never been dope sick. Do they take people like me? Sarah looked confused. Addicts. Lawyers. Former lawyers. Whatever I am. They take people who need help. My phone buzzed. Jim Palmer. Heard Sarah's in town. Please let her help you. The firm will hold your position for 90 days if you go to treatment. 90 days. As if I'd only need 28. Jim texted you. I asked. I texted him. And Patricia. And your old assistant. I've been building a support network for weeks. The violation of privacy should have made me angry. Instead, I felt relief. Other people were making decisions. I just had to survive. The place in Dayton opens admissions at 8 a.m., Sarah said. We'll leave at 6. 10 hours. 5 pills. The math might work. By 2 a.m. I was out of pills and out of lies. The last one had gone down at midnight when the withdrawal hit like a freight train. Sarah watched me take it, counted the empty baggie, did her own math. That was the last one. Yes. How long until you're sick? 4 hours. Maybe 6. She set her alarm for 5:30. We'll get you there. But by 2 a.m., my body had accelerated its timeline. Cold sweats soaked the target clothes. My legs kicked involuntarily, like they were trying to run away from my own skeleton. Sarah sat in the chair beside the bed, working on her laptop, pretending this was normal. I can't do this, I said. Yes, you can. You don't understand. It feels like dying. But you're not dying. You're healing. Buddhist bullshit from her yoga teacher training. But she said it with such certainty, I tried to believe her. By 3 a.m. I was in the bathroom, everything leaving my body from both ends. Sarah brought water, washcloths. Didn't say anything about the smell or the sounds or the absolute degradation of her little sister who used to win mock trial competitions. Remember when you made law review? She said through the door. Mom called everyone she knew. The grocery store clerk, the mailman, her daughter, the future lawyer. Don't. She was so proud. But you know what she told me privately? She said, I just hope Margaret remembers to be human too. I laughed, which turned into dry heaving. Well, I'm very human now. Yes, you are. By 4 a.m., the restless legs had become full-body restlessness. I couldn't sit, couldn't stand, couldn't exist in my own skin. Sarah found an all-night diner on her phone. Come on, we're going for pancakes. I can't eat. You can sit in a booth while I eat. Moving helps. She was right. Walking helped. Even if it was just 3 blocks to Mike's 24-hour diner where truckers and third shifters ate eggs while I vibrated in a corner booth, sipping Sprite that tasted like battery acid. 5 more hours, Sarah said. Then you get medicine. Then this stops. 5 hours felt like 5 years. But Sarah had flown across the country. The least I could do was try. The intake nurse at Stepping Stones had seen everything, which helped. She didn't flinch when I vomited into her trash can or when I admitted to spending my grandmother's pearls on pills. When did you last use? Midnight. 7 hours ago. What's your normal daily dose? 8 to 10:30s. She wrote without judgment. Behind her, a motivational poster said, recovery is possible over a sunrise. I wanted to tear it down and also to believe it. Sarah sat beside me, answering questions I couldn't. Social security number. Insurance information, Medicaid pending. Emergency contact. You'll need to say goodbye now, the nurse said. No visitors for the first week. Sarah hugged me. I let her, even though being touched felt like being burned. I'll handle your apartment. Your bills. Whatever needs doing. There is no apartment. The bills are all past due. Then I'll handle that. She left. And I was alone with the nurse and the questionnaire and the beginning of something I couldn't name. The doctor looked younger than me. Dr. Martinez, according to his coat. He explained Suboxone like I hadn't already researched it extensively in the library. It'll stop the withdrawal within an hour. You'll take it daily. Some people stay on it for months, some for years. The goal is to get you stable. Stable. Everyone wanted me stable. The first dose dissolved under my tongue, bitter and citrusy. Within 30 minutes, the restless legs stopped. Within an hour, I felt human. Not high, not even good. Just not dying. My roommate was Jennifer, 19, pregnant, third time trying to get clean. She looked at my age, my education, my fall from grace, and said, "Damn, addiction really doesn't discriminate, huh?" No, I said, it really doesn't. Group therapy started that afternoon. 6 people in a circle, talking about things I'd spent 2 years avoiding. The counselor, Marcus, different Marcus, 15 years clean, had arms covered in track marks turned to scars. "Everyone introduces themselves the first day," he said. "Name and what brought you here." When my turn came, I said, "I'm Margaret. I'm 34. I was a lawyer. Pills brought me here." Marcus shook his head. "Pills got you high? What brought you here?" I thought about it. Really thought. "Pain," I said finally, and thinking I was too smart to become an addict. 2 weeks into rehab, I got my first phone privileges. Sarah answered on the first ring. "How are you?" "Sober." "Sick." "Angry." "Grateful." Sometimes all at once. Sounds about right. She told me about handling my life. The storage unit she'd rented for my things. The bankruptcy lawyer she'd hired. The ethics board she'd contacted about medical leave. "They're putting the review on hold for 90 days, she said. "If you complete treatment and provide documentation, they'll consider mitigation." Mitigation. Legal word for you fucked up, but maybe not permanently. "Thank you." Also, Patricia Hoffman sent a card. "Throw it away. It has a check for $500. I sat with that. Patricia, who I'd trained. Patricia, who'd run away from me. Patricia, still trying to help. Put it toward the bankruptcy. Already did. In group that afternoon, we talked about amends. Marcus had us write lists of people we'd hurt. Mine went on for 3 pages. Sarah, Jim, the clients I'd abandoned, the paralegals who'd covered for me, my mother, who died thinking I had my life together. "You can't make amends to everyone," Marcus said. "Some bridges are burned. Some people won't forgive you. The amends are really for you, to stop carrying the weight." Jennifer, my roommate, had left the day before. Couldn't handle it. Walked out during morning meditation. Her bed was empty now, a reminder that recovery wasn't guaranteed. I defended pharmaceutical companies, I said in group, while addicted to their products. How do I make amends for that? Marcus thought about it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just do better going forward. That night, I couldn't sleep. Suboxone managed the physical withdrawal, but not the mental reckoning. I thought about all the times I'd argued that addiction was a personal choice. All the briefs I'd written about personal responsibility. All the cases I'd won while high on pills I'd bought illegally. The irony was perfect and poisonous. At 3 a.m., I walked to the common room. Another patient, David, was there watching infomercials. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. "No, gets easier. Month 2, you might get 4 hours straight." Month 2. The assumption I'd make it that far. "What did you do?" I asked. "Before, carpenter. 22 years. Till I fell off a roof. Another back injury. Another prescription. Another life dissolved by legal chemicals." "I was a lawyer," I said. I don't know what I am now." David looked at me. "You're a person getting better. That's enough for today." Day 28 at Stepping Stones. Discharge day. Sarah waited in the lobby with clothes that fit and a plan I didn't deserve. "You're staying with me for 3 months, she said. "Non-negotiable. In Seattle. I have a basement apartment. Separate entrance. You'll have privacy. I can't afford. You'll pay me back when you can." The drive to the airport was quiet. I watched Ohio disappear, the place that had made and unmade me. The Suboxone prescription was in my purse, a month's supply. The doctor had offered 3 months, but I'd said 1. Still lying to myself about timelines. Sarah's basement in Seattle was clean and small and nothing like my old condo. A twin bed, a desk, a window that looked out at feet walking by. It was perfect. "There's a legal aid office downtown," Sarah said. "They need administrative help. $15 an hour. I can't practice law." "You won't be practicing. You'll be filing, answering phones, making copies. It's boring and beneath your qualifications and exactly what you need." She was right. The Legal Aid Society of Seattle hired me without checking references. They needed someone who understood legal documents. They didn't need to know I'd written them for $300 an hour. My supervisor, Nancy, was 60 and had been there since the 1990s. She looked at my resume, JD from Ohio State, 3 years at Morrison and Associates, and said nothing about the gap, the overqualification, the obvious fall. Can you start Monday? Yes. The clients were people in crisis. Evictions, custody battles, wage theft. They sat in our waiting room with paperwork they didn't understand and fear they couldn't articulate. I knew the feeling. A month in, a woman came in with an eviction notice. Designer purse held too tight. Story that didn't add up. Pupils too wide. I knew the signs because I'd warned them that I processed her paperwork perfectly. Gave her the resource sheet. Then added an NA schedule, slipped between the pages. Just in case you know someone who needs it, I said. She looked at me sharp. Recognized something. Took the papers and left. Nancy saw the exchange. You're good with the difficult ones. I understand difficult. 3 months became 6. 6 became a year. The Suboxone tapered to nothing. The meetings continued. Twice a week. Then once. Then whenever I felt the ground getting slippery. Sarah never asked for rent. I paid anyway, what I could, when I could. The ethics board sent a letter. 2-year suspension. Possibility of reinstatement with conditions that I filed it away. 2 years felt like forever and also not long enough. 15 months after leaving for Seattle, I flew back to Columbus for the ethics hearing. Sarah came with me, protective and practical in her REI jacket. The hearing room was in the courthouse, my courthouse, where I'd slept, where I'd worked, where I'd fallen apart. Dennis wasn't at the security desk anymore. Retired to Florida, someone said. Jim Palmer testified on my behalf. Ms. Chun was an excellent attorney before her health challenges. Addiction is a disease. She sought treatment. She deserves a second chance. Health challenges. Such a clean phrase for such a messy collapse. The panel asked about my recovery. I talked about rehab, the ongoing meetings, the legal aid work. I didn't talk about sleeping in the alcove or trading pearls for pills or the way shame had become a permanent resident in my chest. Do you intend to practice law again? The head panelist asked. I don't know, I said. Truth for once. I'm focused on staying sober and being useful. They gave me 24 months suspension, retroactive. In 9 months, I could petition for reinstatement if I met conditions. Continued sobriety, character references, proof of rehabilitation. Outside the courthouse, I stood at the south entrance. They'd installed metal dividers in the alcove. Hostile architecture, they called it, making it impossible to lie down. That's where I slept, I told Sarah. She looked at the space, maybe imagining her sister there. I should have come sooner. You came exactly when I could let you. We walked to the Starbucks. Tyler was gone, graduated, moved to Chicago, the new barista said. But the bathroom still had a code. The corner table where Jim had staged his intervention was occupied by law students with their pristine optimism. Do you miss it? Sarah asked. The law. I miss feeling important. I miss the intellectual challenge. I don't miss the person I was. You could be a different kind of lawyer. Maybe. Patricia Hoffman walked in then. Saw us. Froze. I stood up. Patricia. She approached cautiously. Margaret. You look, well. Thank you. For the check. For calling Sarah. For caring. She relaxed slightly. Are you back? Just visiting. I live in Seattle now. Are you practicing? Not yet. Maybe not ever. I work at legal aid. Filing papers. Helping people. She nodded. Understood maybe that falling from 40 floors changes how you see the ground. After she left, Sarah said, that was graceful. Recovery requires grace. For yourself. For others. We flew back to Seattle that night. Below, Ohio disappeared again, but differently this time. Not an escape, but an acknowledgement. The story could end here. With redemption and recovery and lessons learned. But that would be a lie. And I'm done with those. 2 years and 3 months after that night at the Extended Stay America, I got a call. Diane Kowalski had died. Exposure, the news said. Found in the courthouse alcove on a January morning when the temperature hit -4. I hadn't thought about Diane in months. Recovery required looking forward, not back. But her death brought it all back. The granola bars, the survival tips, the quiet dignity of people society had written off. That I flew back for a funeral that didn't exist. No service. No family claimed her. The city would cremate her, file her away, move on. Instead, I organized something. Called the churches that served meals. called the library where she'd spent her days, posted on forums where homeless advocates gathered. 12 people came to the community center I'd rented with my legal aid savings. We told Diane stories. How she'd share food. How she'd watch your stuff while you showered. How she'd never taken anything that wasn't offered. That a man named Robert, weak in alcove Robert, said she'd saved his life once. Narcaned him when he overdosed. Stayed with him until the ambulance came. Then disappeared before they could question her. She said getting involved with officials never helped nobody, Robert said. After the memorial, I walked back to the courthouse. The hostile architecture was still there, but someone had put cardboard over the metal bars. Someone was still trying to sleep there, just differently. My phone rang. Sarah, how was it? Sad. Necessary. Are you okay? I'm sober. The answer to everything now. I had 9 months until I could petition for reinstatement. The legal aid job would support it. The character references were ready. The sobriety documented. Everything lined up for a comeback story. But standing there, looking at where Diane died, where I'd almost died, I wasn't sure I wanted to come back. Not to who I was. Not to defending companies I despised for money I'd spend on things that didn't matter. I might stay in Seattle, I told Sarah that night. At legal aid, or something similar. Direct services. People who need help, not corporations that need defense. Mom would like that. Mom wanted me to make partner. Mom wanted you to be happy. She just thought partner meant happy. The truth of it sat heavy and light at once. I still walk past courthouses. In Seattle, where I file paperwork for people facing eviction. The limestone feels the same. The lawyers rushing up the steps look the same. But I see it differently now. Last month, a young woman came into legal aid. 28. Former Amazon programmer. 60 days behind on rent. She had that look. Counting constantly, lying badly, holding her purse like it contained salvation. I processed her paperwork. Gave her the resource sheet. Added the NA schedule. Just in case, I said. She looked at me. Really looked. Saw something. Were you? Yes. How long? 3 years, 2 months, 5 days. Does it get easier? Different. Not easier. Different. She took the papers. Came back a week later. Not for legal help. For the meeting schedule. I'm not ready, she said. But I'm tired. Tired is the beginning of ready. She's 2 months clean now. Still comes by. Still struggling. Still counting, but differently. The ethics board approved my reinstatement petition last week. 9 months early, considering time served and exceptional circumstances. I could practice law again. Hang my own shingle. Return to Morrison and Associates, who'd somehow held my position. I told them no. Instead, I'm starting a legal clinic. Sarah's helping with funding. Jim's on the board. Even Patricia donated. For people in addiction and recovery. For people who need lawyers who understand that justice and law aren't always the same thing. The clinic opens next month in a building 6 blocks from the Seattle courthouse. Close enough to remember. Far enough to have perspective. I keep one photo on my desk. The courthouse alcove in Columbus, before the hostile architecture. A reminder of where I've been. Where Diane died. Where I almost died. Where I was reborn in the worst and best ways. Sometimes, when I work late preparing cases for people who can't pay, I think about my old office at Morrison and Associates. The view, the prestige, the slow dissolution of my soul that I mistook for success. Then I think about Diane's granola bars, Sarah's flight, Jim's $100, Patricia's 20, Tyler's expired pastry, Brenda's sandwich, Marcus the counselor saying everyone falls the same, Dennis pretending not to see, small kindnesses that saved my life. The Burberry coat is long gone, sold to someone who'll never know its history. But sometimes, on cold Seattle mornings, I remember exactly how warm it was. How it felt to wrap dignity around myself when dignity was all I had left. Recovery isn't a straight line. It's not a comeback story. It's a daily choice to be honest about what happened and what's happening. To help who I can. To accept help when I need it. My name is Margaret. I was a corporate lawyer. I was homeless. I was addicted. I am recovering. They was and am exist together now, not fighting but coexisting. The woman who billed 300 hours and the woman who slept on limestone. The woman who defended pharmaceutical companies and the woman who bought their products illegally. The woman who fell and the woman who got up. They're all me. And tomorrow, when someone walks into the clinic carrying their shame like a stone, I'll tell them what Diane told me in the alcove. You're not unique in your falling, but you might be unique in your getting up. So get up, even if it's just to sit somewhere else. Get up. The courthouse steps don't lead up anymore, not for me. They lead forward, to the next client, the next day sober, the next small kindness I can offer because someone offered one to me. That's enough. More than enough. That's everything.